I want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, but there's nothing good after that Manchester derby. And I'm starting off. That's where we're starting this episode off because my goodness gracious, that was a waste of my time. I should have taken a nap. I'm your host Malcom, aka Sheiks. We have a full house today. Uh, the FM manager, FM god, Khanya and Tobi. Say hi to the man them
We're
and the
back. We're
episode
back.
partner.
They've dropped something amazing. Oaks, there's a retro pack on FM. You can play with 0708 squads. You can play with 0405 squads. You can play with 1314.
That's
Jump
fine.
on. Jump on.
That's fine.
We
That's fine.
Yeah,
we're
that
up.
is sick.
We're up. FM enjoys. We're up. Trust me.
Yeah, I don't have the patience. I tried for like that one semester. Joining us is the
What the?
former FIFA connoisseur. He's past his prime. T boy, how are you doing, sir?
Bro, I'm blessed and I'm not past my prime. I
When last
can't
did
afford
you
a
when last did
PS5
you
at the
when
moment.
last did you play FIFA?
Yeah. So I'm past my prime, guys. But don't worry. Don't worry. I'll be the next FIFA, I'll be there. When my PS5 has arrived, I'll be here. I'll be here, bro.
We had Tabani with us too, but he just dropped off. I think he anticipated conversations about Ganacho and said no ways. So if he's able to join us, we'll intro him back and get his points of view. But gentlemen, Manchester derby. I saw quite a lot of backlash this weekend. Gary Neville giving a long,
Roy Keane,
impassioned speech.
everyone.
Roy Keane giving a long. Toby, we'll start with you as a Manchester United fan. How does how do you let's start with the positives because it was a 0-0. So how did you feel watching that game from the perspective of like your development as a team?
I think the issue is I find it quite difficult to judge Man United when it comes to big teams because I want to say that we are pretty solid against the top six. I don't know. I don't think we've been smoked that many times against anyone in the top six. Arsenal, we drew. City, now we drew. And I feel like we're able to actually hold ourselves. We're not able to we don't get smoked like we used to in the past when I guess ETH was there. So as a United fan, wasn't the best football. I do think we could have been a bit more braver, courageous on the ball. But I'm happy with the results. And it's a game I think we should have actually won. There was a lot of chances towards the end. Xerxes shot on target. Garnacho tried. Maybe he's not the player that we thought he would be, but I think he's still young. He's getting there. Good performance from Casemiro, Ugarte. I really like the Dogu and Garnacho link up on the left. It was really good this match. And I think the signs are there, which is why I believe, actually, I'm not going to go into next season, but I think, I actually think,
He's
no,
growing.
It
no,
almost
I'm
said,
actually going to
let's
say,
wait. It almost happened. It almost happened.
it
This season we're
almost,
going to be
it's,
top four. I can see it. I can see it
no,
loading.
no, but I think bro, against Nottingham Forest, the same thing. XG was maybe like 1.5 something against Nottingham's very, very low XG. Like, we're actually getting a lot better. I don't think we're as exciting, but the foundations are being built. If I was a manager, if I was a sporting director, I would say, please build the foundation from the back first. And we're not
Yes,
conceding as many goals as we used to. That's a good thing that we can see over the last few matches.
I
So,
agree,
yeah,
and I agree with you. I think also when you look at like stylistically, like a 3-4-3 is never going to be explosive. Kanye, we saw
explosive, yeah.
with that shirt on.
Oh, Sheiks. I'm
This
wearing the
exact same
kit,
thing.
brother.
This is the
I,
exact same
I,
thing.
no.
Yeah,
Hell.
we saw.
Hell.
Oh, wasn't that when it was Tierney? Who else was in that back?
It was
It was
Tierney, Niles, and then Saka,
Niles,
Tierney, Niles, and
yes.
Martinelli down that left flank. So like,
Yes,
it is a long road to freedom. But as Toby pointed out, the benefit is you stop leaking goals. Like
yeah.
you know that the reason you're losing games is because of a lack of creativity, and now you just need the right players to emerge.
Right, exactly. And Joy, just to touch on that, I think I saw a stat the other day of saying I think Dogu has been the player who's crossed the most times in a Man United shirt, and he just basically joined
Oh
us.
wow.
So like it's basically highlighting that once Amrin starts to bring in players that I think fits his philosophy, his ideologies, we'll start to see a bigger difference. Because Dallo at the moment we know he's not the best crosser. I don't know if people are going to bring in another right wing back. I don't know who there is on the market right now, but it just highlights that once you start bringing in the right players who are going to do the jobs that the manager wants them to do, we can see a big difference. And we're really starting
Dallo
to see that with Dogu.
Dallo was a right mid until 4 years ago. The more
Yeah,
I
I
watch him
don't
play,
know.
the more I watch him
I
play, the
don't
more I
know,
see
bro.
he was a guy who just couldn't cut it. Right? Maybe 6 years ago they said if you want to go pro, you have to play right back. And now what annoys me is he doesn't. And this is where you appreciate players like Gary Neville, right? Say what you want about his limitations as a right back. He was consistent, solid,
Yeah,
and he gave his all to his position. Whatever
yeah,
he was that type of student where if you tell him this semester your elective is
he will do it.
he will immerse himself in it. So with Dallo, that's the thing that frustrates me with him. is like he just seems like he's
Master of
happy to
none,
be
bro.
yeah, he doesn't
Master.
want
Like,
to
no,
educate himself.
he just happens to play for United. Like this is, but you know that's
I don't
Tabsore's
know.
guy, man.
Yeah,
That's Tabsore's
I
guy. Don't
think I
forget.
don't know.
Yeah,
I think
that's
he
the
just
one.
maybe he's thinking of CR7. I just don't know. Like I don't know what he's doing, bro. He's just not focusing. He's just
Yeah,
thinking of going on Portugal duty or something. I'm just not serious. So
he's a very
I don't know what he
frustrating player
needs.
because I also Kanya, you pointed out him being Tabani's player. I have a few friends who also saw Bayern. In fact, Toby too. But like, it's
I
never.
did, I did, I did.
You can see the ability.
The
It's just a
ability,
lack of
yeah.
It's just a lack of focus. Like he just won't give his all to the position. We've started on the red side of Manchester. So Kanya, I want to go to you. A lot of noise about this weekend, just from what I was seeing online. Garnacho. A lot has been made about the Latino Cristiano. So when you look at him, obviously we have a player who's not similar necessarily in terms of status or development, but similar, I think, in how frustrating he can be in Martinelli, right? Like very seemingly repetitive, very limited.
Same kinds of problems.
Same kind of problems, except Martinelli. What I think makes him a bit more acceptable is he's humble. Like Martinelli wants to. He's a team-oriented player, whereas Garnacho seems to be more focused on his own development as a player. What did you
Which is what
think?
I respect. But anyways, go
Interesting.
on.
Interesting. So on the back end of that, Kanya, given his age, he's 19, 20. How, what's the ceiling? Where do you see him going in this Man United squad?
So controversially, I thought quite highly of Garnacho like a year ago. The
The
fact that he's had
bicycle
this,
against Everton.
no, before then. You know me better by now. From like a player, it's because of a very hipster reason. FA Youth Cup final.
Oh,
I watched some
Oh.
Garnacho. He scored in the final. I said, okay, cool.
Oh
We
yeah,
can go
that
on this
was
World
that the
Cup.
run. He was that long ass run that he had.
You know
Yes,
exactly what I'm
yes,
talking
yeah, I
about.
know which one.
Yeah, I looked. I said, okay, this is a very serious introduction to a player, right? Someone I hadn't watched before. For that to be how I first become acquainted with you, when I've been reading that you're supposed to be the next guy, I was willing to buy into it. They said he's from Atletico Madrid Academy. I said, okay, maybe he's got something. Guys, don't forget that around this time last year, he was about to score in an FA Cup final, like that United
Okay,
won.
yeah.
I think the difference between him and Martinelli, and I want us to grow as a platform. I know it's going to be tough to do, but Ganache is a cunt. Ganache is a cunt. Like his
yeah,
personality, I think, is
What?
the big no, like him as a person, like
yeah,
how he reacts to teammates, his body language. He is an
Oh
extremely
yeah.
abrasive presence.
yeah,
And I think that hinders him more than any actual talent ability or like gap he might have. Like you're talking about the difference between him and Martinelli. Dude, like you want Martinelli to do well. You're rooting for him. If you look at how United fans are currently speaking about Garnacho, I think it's showing that he's even lost like the popular fan sentiment. And that's a bit crazy to do at 19 years old when you have done what he's done for the team. Like he's playing in a team that is Manchester United's worst ever. He's 19 years old. He's starting every single week, and somehow he's turned the fans against him. That's not because of his ability. That is, I think, because of his decision making, and to some extent, that's like his match IQ. But I don't think he's that stupid. I think
Yeah, but decision making
I
at 20 years old, like you're talking about something.
no,
This is something that
so
people gain when they get
no,
25 plus, when they reach their prime.
so then we're on the same page that he should be doing better. But that being said,
No, not
forwards.
bet. What? Sorry, yeah. No, but what do you mean by better?
episodes with
What?
Toby's are the best, bro. I love
No,
it.
what do you mean
I
better
love it.
though? How
Let me
can you mean better at
okay,
20 years
finish.
old?
Let me finish. I think forwards typically become first team starters earlier than like defenders do, right? Like your
Yes,
role is
and
a lot
midfield.
simpler generally.
I think that's changing, but yes.
No,
I disagree, but
Bro, players like you
I
have players like Heaven, you have players like Aiden Heaven coming through, Hoyson coming through. These are
is not
youngsters that are all coming through.
is it not heaven?
is it not Haven? Oh, is
Oh,
it Heaven?
no, it's Heaven. It's Heaven. It's not Heaven, bro. It's not.
I
It's
don't know.
not.
I'm
It's
just
Heaven. It's
I
Aiden
don't know him.
Heaven.
I don't
It's
know him.
Aiden
Okay, no.
Heaven. It's Aiden
Now we
Heaven.
know.
Okay.
Thank you for teaching us,
Man
Toby.
said heaven. Man said
But
heaven.
look,
African, bro.
it says thank you for teaching us. Thank you for teaching
Heaven.
us.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Heaven.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, but
Um,
Toby, I think sorry, Kanya, just to interject that. I think what Kanya is saying is like there is no there's no detriment to playing a young forward. Right? If you play a young midfielder or a young centre back, you know guaranteed you're losing 8 points in the season. minimum because of
Yeah.
that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Whereas a forward, like there's no straight. You just have to go
Okay.
towards it
Yeah.
down the
Yeah.
field. Yeah. Kanya.
Okay, that's fair
Yeah,
enough.
like the fact that I think Garnacho's lost fan sentiment is a really scary thing. 'Cause it's just like, dude, your role's not like the be all and end of this team right now. You need to work hard. You need to, try and pass to your teammates. You need to defer to the people around you who are more experienced as much as you possibly can. This idea of him
Okay.
almost playing like he is the main player in this team that doesn't
S-
have that right now. It's only Bruno who is like
And I've
properly
got
established
yeah,
as someone people should
No,
look to as the
I've
first
got a
option.
good rebuttal for this
I
because
also have one. Kanya.
if
Like,
we go back to the Phil Foden situation, right? You talk about pundits coming and saying, why doesn't he want to take the game by the scruff of the neck? Why doesn't he want to try and impose himself, be the guy? That's what Garnacho, I think, is doing for us at United. He's attempting to, say, you know what, let me take the ball, let me drive at the defense, let me try do this. I would rather have a player like that who's not afraid to take the ball on and try and make things happen. As opposed to
okay.
someone like Phil Foden recently now, who just holds onto the ball and is kind of scared to take someone on, pass it away at the age of 20 years old. If this guy was 26 and doing this, like CR7 taking free kicks at the penalty at the corner flag, like bro, come on. Like at this age, rather you do that now and you learn that okay, I know this is what I'm good at. I know this is what I'm not good at. This is when I should probably let go of the ball or something like that. Because Vinny was the same at this age, similar, doing stuff like this. No, like, a bit foolish on the
To an
ball.
extent, yeah. I think the difference though is, and Kanya touched on it, it's the mentality attached to the play style. Like, if you're this player and your team, oh, that's the difference. Vinny was always team oriented, right? That's why, like, when Benzema made those comments when he wasn't performing well,
It,
it
it was seen
affected
as him
him.
being harsh. It
Yeah,
was seen as
like,
Benzema being really harsh on a young kid who's
people,
just trying.
there we go. People
Okay.
felt bad for Vinny. Whereas a key point in what Kanye is saying is like, Oaks have turned on Garnacho in a year and a half. You'd think he's been here since
Dude, Garnacho should be
Van Gaal.
minted, bro. Like he should
Yeah,
be minted. It should be like
untouchable,
people don't
untouchable.
want to speak ill of him because he's so young, because of what he's
Yes,
already done. The fact that
but
he's done what he's done so far, I think, speaks to
it's
his personality and how
it's the
everything he does is
demeanor.
perceived.
Yes,
Yeah.
the way he does it. That's why he's susceptible to that hate because of how he kind of bemoans when players miss and the hair and the tattoos. Not saying you can't have
Huh?
that, but when you build yourself up, listen. So what I'm saying is, Garnacho has presented himself as, for all intents and purposes, a grown man. Like, I'm a grown. I'm not a footballer who's just in year 1 or 2. I'm an adult. View me as that way. That's why I point the tattoos and the hairstyle and having a distinct style. If you look at someone like Paul Pogba, who agrees probably the most flashy player, right, in the past 15, 20 years, Pogba had a brush cut until like his second year at Juve. And at that point, he had established himself as, oh, this guy can ball. Right? So it's a thing of, I think a lot of what he's doing off the pitch is indicative of a guy who's performing on the pitch. So when the performances on the pitch don't happen, it's a very quick thing for fans to say, "Oh, he's got an attitude problem," or "Oh, like he is
This guy's full of
abrasive."
himself.
Yeah, abrasive is the perfect way to put it. And it's Toby, because Toby, I agree with you. Like, he's got talent. The kid has something, and as you pointed out, like he's not afraid of the moment. But now the problem with him is pulling too much, and I look at him like similar to Mudryk to an extent, like when you don't develop the ability to be like tempestuous about your football, to stop. Pep always talks about this. He spoke about this with Nunes today when he's speaking about
Yeah.
letting the game come to you. Yes, you can be a game changer and do things, but it reaches a point where you're
Yeah.
now actually taking away from the team. And that's always been my issue with someone like Bruno. Your performances are coming at the expense of the team because it will take you 12 chances to score, and then the final score will be 5-1, and you feel good about yourself. No, like you
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah.
So it's
I
it's a psychological
I think
thing.
I've got 2 points. I think maybe it's that okay in a way that's actually no. Let me not say that.
You
Okay,
hearing
can I
us there?
say this?
You low key hearing us.
Wait.
You low key hearing us. That's okay.
No,
It's fine.
I was talking about maybe it's the Argentina in him that people that don't really, how Argentinian players are known to be very like they
Smuggish,
have a bit of
yeah.
smuggish, like they have a lot of beef with certain players.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
Think
people don't
about
like Rodrigo.
how much people like the butcher of Manchester.
Yeah,
The
butcher.
difference.
That's a good example. Yeah, that's a
No,
good example. Because he has that humility about him. I get what you're saying about like Argentine players,
yeah, okay,
but
okay,
there's
yeah,
a bit of
The aggression, the spirit, dude. That's a good thing. There are lots of
yes,
things to like about Ganacho, but there's so many
yeah,
other things that when things aren't
yeah,
going
yeah,
well, he is abrasive. Like, dude,
yeah,
I
yeah.
take
I
a lot
know.
of joy out of like dissing Manchester United. I don't disrespect Ganacho generally because I really do think the guy's quite talented, dude. Like, I don't think
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
I don't think he'll be a world beater. I don't think he's like a Ballon d'Or like potential like talent
Yeah.
like talent wise. But
But he
I
has a
do
good
that
career ahead of him.
that guy is definitely good enough to stay in the Premier League. That guy is good enough to
Yeah. No,
play for like
definitely.
teams on the periphery of the Champions League. Like
And I think
I do believe he'll be around. Like I don't think Garnacho fades away like an Emery Moore or whatever. Like where you just never see him again once he leaves United. He'll still play like in one of the top 5 leagues. He's gonna be here, and I think he has more
I don't.
than Januzaj did when Januzaj was playing for
Oh,
United.
come on,
I'll say that much.
a lot more. I just
Dude,
don't
no,
want him to leave,
that,
bro.
look. It's sometimes a player has
This
to
is
leave
when we need. I want to
because
hear
of
what Tub Soul man has to say about this guy because
Guy,
he has strong beef.
look. It's unfortunate, but there are certain players with like what their attitude is like at a certain point in time. Just means that it doesn't work
I
out for
don't
them
know.
under a certain
Yeah,
coach. She's gonna hate me for the example I'm gonna use, dude. Like Guendouzi had to leave Arsenal, as talented as he was.
oh my
He
god.
did. He did. Like
talented, but
he was
yeah,
talented. Dude, Guendouzi gets selected for France every single time. Just in case you were unaware, that's a mainstay in the France squad. Doesn't
that's the
start.
Phil
Doesn't start.
quotas.
What quota?
Mulatto quotas.
Come
What
on,
quota?
bro.
What quota?
White quotas.
No, it's
No, but
because
that's a good example. It's a good example.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like sometimes the player just doesn't have like the correct attitude. Although I don't think Gunduzi got on the wrong side of the fans, got on the wrong side of the coach too early on in his career, and the fact that he
yeah,
had the arrogance that he did meant he had to go. Garnacho might find himself in a similar place. Like
yeah.
back to
Actually, yeah,
comparisons, the comparison Sheik's made
yeah.
between Martinelli and Garnacho. I don't see a
Uh,
world where Arsenal want to sell Martinelli
That's
because of
right.
what Martinelli's attitude is like.
Too
Martinelli
yeah.
is
too
like,
agreeable of a player.
yeah, like
But you guys do make a valid. Sorry, I was gonna say you guys do make a valid point in that I don't really remember a player that's hated this much at this young. Sorry, at
It's
this
dude.
such a young
dude.
age.
It's
But I don't
strange.
see why. I'm
It's not
struggling to
normal.
understand
It's
why.
not normal, bro. Watch
I think
Garnacho. I could make a comment
I've
on my own
watched him. See, I've told
of
you I've
him.
watched him,
Mm.
but
And you're not
I
saying
don't
it's
mind. That doesn't affect me because I think I'm blinded by the idea of him wanting to take the lead
I
and wanting to be
I think
initiate things. That's
can I
probably
can,
why.
can I try and just rationalize it on your behalf? I think it's because like you've come up in an era of Man United where you don't have to like each other to win. Like if you think back to like when we were kids and maybe we were a bit too young, but like Roy Keane taking Phil Neville and busting him up,
Oh
and then
yeah,
a
yeah,
bit later, like if you think about Ronaldo and Rude, and then Tevez getting into bust ups with this person, that person. United have never had like Arsenal fans are a bit soft when it comes to like cohesiveness within the team because we've always had like best friends, right? You think of all the Arsenal fan TV when it started, like all the boys, the buddies. So like I think for Toby, maybe it's a thing of like if the kid's doing his job, who cares if he shouts at someone? But
yeah.
I say the difference is you had a manager who could channel that negative
Challenge,
energy
yeah,
and
into
put it
on
into
the pitch
performances.
performance, yeah.
That's gone. Now you guys need to actually be a real team in order to perform. And also,
Yeah.
just one quick thing, last thing on United before we go to the blue side of Manchester. Um, Toby, you're asking like this much hatred towards Garnacho. There's a very weird trend going on within the Man United fan base where there is like an expedited rate of fatigue towards players. I saw before this episode, we record this episode, I saw on Instagram saying, "What happened to my guy Kobe Manu?" And they're saying Kobe before he had the dreads. I'm like, he's been injured for like
Yeah,
what are
he's
you
been injured.
how are we mourning a player that's still active and fine? Like, I think there's a psyche of like, and this is your fan base has been destabilized by just the constant changes of management and players to the point where it's like if you don't pick up within a season, 2 seasons,
You're
right,
done.
you're done. And now I mean, how long has Manu been injured? What, like
A few months,
a
yeah.
few months now? Yeah. So I just found that interesting off of what Khanya said. I do want to quickly jump over to the blue side of Manchester. The performance was just all over the
Abysmal.
place, abysmal. It reminded me of
it's a
when you
farewell tour.
start playing. It is a farewell tour. Toby, when you start playing Ultimate Team, and then you have like the one gold player amongst the silvers, and there's just
De
there's
Bruyne,
no
yeah.
chemistry. Yeah, that's literally
Nothing.
how there's. I was completely dumbfounded by. I mean, Phil Foden is where we're gonna land, right? But let's start off with De Bruyne.
I'm ready.
I've never seen. This is the first time, probably since 17, 18, where I've seen De Bruyne operate as a midfielder. And in that game, right, I don't know if it's happened in games prior. Maybe I may not picked up on it, but this is the first time I've seen De Bruyne receiving from a centre back. Diaz has the ball. He's dropping in, receiving, turning, and trying to get everyone ticking. He doesn't have I know this may be a bit controversial. I don't think De Bruyne can sustain a game of football for 90 minutes doing that. I think De Bruyne has always been a moment player. He can find the right moment, find the right execution, right play, right pass. But the way, if you think of tempo setters like Xavi, Pirlo, Scholes,
Yeah,
that can
definitely not.
that can keep
Yeah.
the game ticking. De Bruyne can't do
Pedri,
that.
those type of guys. Yeah.
Yeah, so now you look at De Bruyne in that role, and I pointed out because obviously we're going to talk about him holistically as a player, where he ranks, give ode to what was an incredible career. But the fact that he's having to do that, right, for the first time in 8 years, just shows me how much of a mess things are at Man City right now. And Khanya, what stood out for you just from the
Sneaker
holistic
guns.
performance? Like Bernardo Silva played 90 minutes. I think I saw 3 actions from him
He
the
was
whole game.
dusted.
What stood out for you? How worried are you for City as, say, an objective fan? I know you don't care about them like personally, but objectively speaking, how worried are you for them moving forward?
So I have to start this to the listeners. I want to apologize, and I know Lasiba would appreciate me bringing him to this. I want to apologize for apologizing last year when we said Foden. We were wrong. We cashed out too early. We cashed out too early. There was a reason we were talking about him the way we were talking about him week in, week out. Talented guy, but we went too far. We saw it into the sun, and now he's been blinded. Now it's like, whoa, these expectations. This is a lot for just one man. And you know what? It's not his fault. It's actually not Foden's fault. It is the fault of every single English pundit who said he is David Silva's heir. It is the fault of every single English pundit who said he is Kevin De Bruyne's heir. Because what had we seen that suggested he was even a midfielder in the first place? He's better than Jack
I think
Wilshere.
for sure.
He's not even in the same position as Jack Wilshere. All these things that we said about Foden before, he'd even kicked a ball more than 10 times in the season. I am grateful that now we can look and say, you know what? He's good. The guy got a good shot at him. He's those turns. And that's it. The midfield,
Wow.
great. The future cat. No. Talented footballer. That's it. Let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
The
So how
game
did you
itself.
feel about Gareth? How did you feel about Gareth Neville's comment saying that there's certain players, for example, Kane, Shearer, the type
Oh,
of guys that
it
you'd
should always
bring
start.
that should always start? And he said Phil Foden for me is one of those.
No, look, I think Foden is one of many players who benefits heavily from aesthetic bias. There's lots of players who I think
That was gonna be
look
my answer.
really, really great on the wall. They
Ciao,
make they make
Felix.
they make those lots of. There you go. That's one of them. Make those nice
Raphael
little touch.
Leao.
No, he does not look bad at that.
Bro, that guy is 6'2", pacey as hell, heavy ass touch. He look
No, but it's
aesthetic
just like
bias.
step overs. It's just the step overs that people eat. Wow, wow, wow. That's what people love, bro. But anyways, that's
That's
another
the next
story.
question.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey man,
This
he
guy.
took Milan to the only league title that they will have this decade.
Okay,
So
let's go back to
I'm
Phil Foden.
I'm not
Yes.
I'm not gonna have any of that. But yeah, so you get my point. I think that's what Foden's benefited from more than most footballers of recent
I
times,
was
and I think especially because he's English, it was more apparent because obviously he can do more than just that, right? He also
I was
has
about
Yeah.
a
to
lot more end product, and it's
Yeah.
like another player who I spent a lot of time hating on because Oaks kept telling me he was amazing. Philippe Coutinho. Guys, let us
okay,
not
no,
let
you're left
let
field.
us
You're left
not
field.
let the long
No.
shots
Mm-mm.
trick you.
No,
Let us not let the long shots.
nah.
Coutinho was better than Foden, though.
Honestly,
It's a
Coutinho
bit
was
too
better than
far.
Foden. Then Coutinho was better than
Yeah,
Foden.
much,
But
much better.
I'd like to point out that the similarity in how quickly the hype can increase off
it's because
of
of
the
time
fact that he's
The
kicking
finishing.
these
difference,
long
the
shots.
difference, the difference is Coutinho was keeping Liverpool afloat. That's the difference. So
Good, good.
there was
Look,
actual benefit to the flashiness. Foden, I mean, like the reason to respond to what you said, I understand why you place blame on the English media, but when he makes statements like, the statement he made earlier this season, the reigning PFA Player of the Year winner, I'm the best in the league. You didn't see that press release he put out?
I don't watch Foden content. I have to tune out.
Wow.
He did an interview. Yeah, like I think it was like one of the breaks for international football where they were asking him candidly about his form, and he said essentially like that same interview Onana gave when he said the Champions League final last season. You're telling me he's not even top 10. Yeah, Foden said the same thing. So for me, that showed me, oh, okay, you're a man now. Calm. You're doubling down on your ability to impact a game. So now I'm not blaming the English media because you validated the hype through that sentence. And when you talk about Toby, the perception of him and the reception of him by English pundits and some of the English people in the country, and Kanya, you speak about the aesthetic. It really emphasized how starved English football has been of like like an all-rounded footballer. Because in Spain, in Netherlands, how many Depay, subversions did they make from 2008 to 2000? Couldn't think of Quincy Promes, like all of the
There's a
guys
whole lot, yeah.
who were just insane on the ball, right? Spain, same thing. Like I always mosh his name. Plays for Sociedad, has a great career there.
Oyarzabal.
Yes, Oyarzabal.
Oyarzabal, if you want to get
What I
crazy.
don't know. I don't know what archetype that. I don't even know what his vibe is
He's a
really.
he's a lesser
He's a lesser who?
Isco. He is the lesser version of Isco in the sense that put him.
Is
in
he
a
that
phone
Is he
booth,
that technical?
He's that nimble. I promise you.
Listen, like
Put him in a phone booth,
he's evasive. He's evasive. He's agile.
You will not get that ball off of him.
Okay.
And let me qualify.
He scores a lot though.
Isco, I say because Isco
He plays false
is
nine,
also-
though.
I was going to say,
Okay.
Isco and him are of this weird modern day footballer that Coutinho actually falls into. You're not really a cam, you're not really a left wing, you're not really a centre forward. Dybala is like the king of that type of player. And Dybala is actually good at being that type of player. I put him there, and I use him as an example to say, he's fucking incredible. He's an absolute baller. So when Spain get him, they're not completely rearranging the national team. Because remember, they were dead when he started booming. The national team was in a very bad place around 2018, 2017, when it was about exploded onto the scene. They don't drop everything and say, oh, because they've seen it before. England see Foden, as Kanye
Bro,
said, the second
They lost
coming
their
of-
minds.
Mate,
David
they
Silva, Jack Wilshere, De Bruyne.
Paul Gascoigne. They even said
Bro.
Paul Gascoigne. They named everyone.
Oh yeah, and he dyed his hair blonde.
He had it
Unbelievable.
blonde. Dude, it's because they've truly so like it's
Let me bring some
like-
balance. Let me bring some. I feel like these are you guys are
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah,
No,
sorry.
no,
So
no,
I
because
wanna
you.
listen to this. Before you speak, I want to listen. He has a British passport, so you can. You can't let the government see this.
It's not even that. I also think.
Get problems.
I also think it's the Saka comparisons that have got to your guys' hearts as well. Because there was that whole debate of Sam saying, "Oh, he's better than Saka. Maybe we should move Saka so Foden can occupy that space in the England team." Remember, there was that whole thing of moving Saka to left wing back,
So-
etc. So
I
yeah?
think for other Arsenal fans that might be relevant, but I think it's interesting that neither myself or Sheiks mentioned Saka here.
No, but I just know it's like,
like-
it's inherent inside of you that's one of the reasons. Because
No,
I do feel like
just
we're being very
Foden from
we are
long
being
before.
Hold on.
no, but I do feel like we're being very, very harsh on Phil Foden. Like I'm not the biggest Phil Foden fan, but I do feel like he is probably one of the best, most technical England players we've ever seen. That's just an honest assessment, bro. We have to be honest with ourselves. I know you're probably
there.
like
He's up
he's
there.
like he's up there. He's definitely up there, bro. So like the fact that pundits are now, I guess, trying to build him up rather than build him down, it all makes sense. We can't expect Micah Richards, Gary Neville to all be saying this guy's ass when they know that he's probably going to form an integral part of the England setup, the England camp. It's all about boosting his ego and stuff like that because we can't forget he was PFA Player of the Season last year, bro. That's not an easy thing
I've-
to get.
I've
He
seen
balled
him
out
tear
last
down
year.
better English footballers.
Say
But-
Example?
I've seen them tear down better English footballers.
An example?
Take it away.
Your friend Marcus Rashford. He hasn't received
Yeah.
any of that kind of credence, and Rashford's England's best left winger on talent.
17, 18 Rashford, 18, 19 Rashford, he did as much as Foden did in the last season. If you just took those contributions and put them into a title-winning team, you have I agree, Kanya. They killed
So
it.
Okay.
look,
I think it's a bit. I think. Sorry, yeah.
Before you go,
Yeah.
I just like to point out that fundamentally, I think Foden has also been very unfortunate in that the level he's expected to perform at consistently is essentially to the level of the players of the best in the entire world, right? At Manchester City.
Yeah,
So the fact that he has underwhelmed when that has been the bar, it's just like,
Yeah.
dude, you can't say he's not that good then if these are his teammates and I hear that. I think my only issue is just that if you're going to present him that way, that's how I'm going to evaluate him. If Foden had come from like Spurs, if Foden played for Spurs, I'd actually have a lot more time for Phil Foden, like holistically, and what he's doing and his contributions in that specific environment. It's the fact that he's in the system where they say no matter what he does, if he scores in one game, the conversations he's put in are unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay.
But when
Yeah,
Foden
yeah.
is when he is underwhelming, bro, it's almost like,
It's bad.
dog,
Yeah, it's
how
bad.
can
It's
you
bad.
expect that from him? That's so unfair. And I personally struggle with that because I don't see that for other
Yeah, yeah,
players. I don't.
yeah.
I'd like to act as the balancer. I'm saying, okay, dude, we've seen
I know,
Oxford
and I
work.
think the Rashford point of view is more from what I think maybe is a situation where United haven't been a team that's won a lot, whereas Foden's played a part in City winning quite a few things over the
Mm,
last few years. So maybe that's why there's maybe that like, Rashford, it's much easier to critique Rashford because like look at where United are, finishing bottom of the
mm.
table, mid-table, not doing well, etc. So it's a lot easier to pick on Rashford that way as opposed to Foden when you're like, okay, they won the UCL. They've won the treble last whatever. They've done
Yep.
this. They've
And
done
and
that.
and I'm here to provide the balance. That's all it is, man.
Yeah,
That's all it
yeah,
is.
which is fair enough.
Others gonna praise him. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm
Yeah, but
I'm here to
obviously, just
remind
for the
you, these
listeners,
other guys,
I am not a
these other
Foden.
guys.
Listeners, I am Team Sucker, by the way. I'm not Foden or whatever. Just to put it out
Moving on from Phil Foden,
there.
I just wanted to point out in that game, Gundogan is in a very weird place as a footballer. Talk about a destabilizing move to Barcelona. It's not necessarily that he's ever going to play badly, but it's just like the
Doesn't fit.
impact of his not even that he doesn't fit pause in my opinion. It's the impact of his that's crazy. It's the impact of his actions. Like again, talking about like dictating your opposition. It just doesn't seem like he's able to do that to the same degree. Anyways, the man of the moment, Kevin De Bruyne, obviously announced he's leaving Man City, and it's when they posted his comp reel, you realize how two things.
Crazy.
One, what a fucking player, right? Just wow. Two, Man City tax is real, man. Because I watched pretty much every goal contribution, but I forgot half of them because they didn't resonate in the mind as much when it's happening every week and every season. It's a new this, a new that. You know, like
Yeah.
the Man City tax is a very real thing. So obviously, we're gonna have the lazy conversation here. Where does KDB rank all time in the Prem for midfielders? Right. Uh,
Oh,
it's
so you think he's we're going
you
back
are
to the midfielder thing now? I
right.
thought
That's what
everyone
this
was always saying he's not a midfielder, blah blah this and all that.
look. That's what I'm about to say. Listeners, you're about to be pissed off from this conversation. I am telling you just right now, you're going to be pissed off from this conversation. But I think we all agree, legendary player, generationally
Yeah.
defining player, one of the greats that they've ever graced European football. Period. Right.
Wolfsburg legend, according to the Siva.
Wolf,
Never forget.
according to the FIFA, Wolfsburg legend. Um, yeah. So Toby, you started off with a good place. Is KDB a midfielder, guys? Let's talk about that.
And I mean, you kind of touched on it earlier on, saying this was the first time you'd actually seen him pick the ball up from the defenders, turn and try
Yeah.
dictate the play, which I
Right.
think it's not something that he probably has been able to do over the last few years because there's been other players that have been able to do it better than him. But I would rank him higher than Lampard, but lower than Gerrard for me. So higher than
Okay.
Lampard and Scholes, but lower than Gerrard.
Are you like when you talk about rankings, and this is a personal thing? I've always
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
know how much do you factor success into that? Because I understand on one hand, I understand why Stevie G ranks high for everyone on this list. On the other hand, we know what the elephant in the room is, right? So it's like,
Yeah, he's one of the
how do you,
most, yeah.
personally, how do you navigate the two of like the players' actual performances versus what they succeeded and what they were able to accomplish?
For me, I don't know. I'm basing it on talent alone. For me, I haven't when I just did those rankings. I actually wasn't thinking in terms of achievement and stuff like that, which I probably should be doing. But I'm talking about from who I've enjoyed watching and who I've enjoyed, I guess, just playing football in terms of the moments that they've
Yeah,
brought. De Bruyne, left foot, right foot, devastating. You just knew like.
devastating.
You just knew at the sorry, you know that area of the box, bro, where you got the ball and it's gonna whip it in. You just knew trouble was coming. You just knew back
Yes,
post, bro. Back post,
trouble.
he's gonna whip that ball. Sterling at the
And
back when he was actually a good footballer, come and pick it up and score. There was just always situations where he was gonna pass to Sane. Sane's through left foot into the corner. I think it was 17, 18 when I was like, fucking, this team is scary, bro. Every game, you just knew you were gonna get cooked. There was
that's
no
just
point in
no, no,
watching.
no. 17. Okay, maybe, maybe before we even get into rankings, let's talk about the best De Bruyne season? Because for me, I say with my chest, 17, 18, that Nike
Bro.
season with the light
Bro.
blue.
Flight
Oh
there.
my god, that goal against Chelsea, guys, where
With that
over
left
the
foot.
bridge, when it was Oh,
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
seen anyone strike a ball like that with their weaker foot in
And I think
my
that was the
life.
purple kit. That was the purple kit as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the
Yeah,
purple
yeah.
kit. Yeah, 17, 18. Those
Crazy,
Nike
bro.
kits were fire. So, Toby, you agree 17, 18. Kanya, what's the best version of De Bruyne for you?
So it's hard. It's really really hard. Pause. To make it to really give it just one season. But for me,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
thing that really really sticks out of my mind is the 2020-2021 season. I don't even think he played throughout the season. It was very. It's like the first season after COVID has struck. Fans on around for most of it.
Is that when he knocked out Madrid in Champions League?
No, 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 not
Oh,
even.
that it
It,
was
it,
crazy
it
that jet sweep.
it's the game where at the end of the season he scores a hat trick against Wolves with his weaker foot,
Oh,
and when he almost breaks Henry's assist record.
oh
Um,
yes, yes, yes,
I,
yes, yes,
I
yes.
I think
Oh,
watching him in that season when so many players didn't look exactly how they looked with fans, the fact that he seemed completely unaffected, like he was just like, I'm
Yeah,
going to get the job done, regardless. City don't have a striker. De Bruyne it's like it's De Bruyne, Foden, it's a bunch of guys at false nine in that season because Aguero's injured. Like also there, but they're not. You know,
they're not
they're
there.
not
Yeah,
playing the way that they played in 17-18 when this team is absolutely perfect. I think
so
seeing him then, the fact that in that weird like detached season, he still showed up the way he did. I can't deny him, especially because they just bounced back from obviously Liverpool running away with it the year before. Like
yeah.
I was moved. I was very very moved by KDB that year.
I think that's a good shout. I was trying to figure out which was the season. It was 22-23 when he knocked Madrid out. No, when did he knock Madrid out? There was a
Yeah,
season
22,
before that.
23.
Yeah, yeah, that's also a good shout. No, look, again, this is a legend, genuinely a footballing
I think
legend.
yeah, like
But
that just highlights it, bro. There's so many different seasons that we're thinking of where he's
so
just
many,
turned up.
dude, just unbelievable. And I think to answer the question of all time, um, uh, all time rankings, I think what does play in his favor is longevity, right? And
Yeah,
I do want to say, however, that people need to start to look at trends. It's not just a coincidence that in modern sports, in every single sport, longevity is now a factor, right? For the first, it's boxing, it's football, American football, NBA, basketball. Every player has the benefit of longevity. So I have what I call a longevity coefficient, where I say, okay, cool. KDB was 14, 15 to 24, 25. That's 10 years of ridiculous levels. 6 years of consistency in the early 2000s is a kind of the same thing as 10 years in this modern day. It's for that reason. I'm just walking you through my logic,
Bear in
right?
mind, KDB has two very injury hit seasons. Even in those 10 years, you're still saying you
yeah.
only played
Played
eight.
right. Yeah, exactly. So, with that being said,
And I'm not
I
counting the season. This season was the ghost of KDB. Goodness
yeah,
gracious.
yeah, it really was a shame that hamstring of his. Yeah, for me, I have KDB like just cracking top five, like just like
So who's in your top
Just
five?
third or fourth. For me, the greatest Premier League midfielder of all time. Toby's gonna say it's biased. Patrick Vieira, hands down. Like it's not even close. You talk about like so how I measure influence or how I measure like greatness. A big factor I have in this conversation is how did the game change because of you? How before before 1997, every tall black nigga was a centre back. Desai, Turam, every tall black. Vieira comes all of a sudden, he spawns 20 years of tall, lanky CDMs where and it's not even a thing of how are they going to play. Kanye, if I show you a West African that's 6'4", you know exactly how he plays, right? It's literally how Vieira plays. Yaya Toure, that's his child. Pogba, that's his child. The likes of like even the Timu versions, Kapue, Decore,
Takure.
those are his children, bro. So for me, Patrick Vieira, I like it's always funny when I see these lists of this is the greatest XI, that's the greatest XI. Give me Patrick Vieira and you can have Iniesta and Xavi there. Football, as much as it is a technical game, and I'll never disrespect them, the physical cannot be ignored. So when you get a guy who is 6'4", right? Like 90 kgs of lean muscle, and he has the touch of an angel. What do you think is going to happen? Like, to me, it's just the blend of power, ability with someone like Vieira is too high for me to ever put anyone else ahead of him. So
Yeah.
that's my greatest midfield of all time.
Okay.
After him, right, now it gets a bit complicated because being a former midfielder myself, I know how hard it is to run a game. Like, to truly run a game. And to truly run a game when you aren't necessarily blessed with the ability to do so, physically speaking. I look at someone like Paul Scholes and I'm like, my fucking goodness gracious. Right? Like, it's disgusting what he was able to do. Because you look at that Man United team, there were really only two, up until Rooney came, there were really only two masters of the ball, right? Ferdinand
Carrick.
also was another one that came later. It was no, I'm talking about the early.
Early.
90s. Yeah, it was Scholes and Beckham. That was it, right? And now even at the later stages, when the newer guys come, your Carricks, your Ferdinand, this is what cements Scholes as second on my list. He retired.
And came back.
Fergie said, dude, we're not doing this without you. He was watching on TV. He said, away. He went to JD Sports, copped the most random
Boots.
boots, and beat Man City.
I'm gonna jam.
Guys. And he
We'll never see it again. We'll never see it again.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Technical ability. Oaks, you've seen me. I'm training now. I'm trying to, get into. My touch is dead. Toby, when I'm in London, we'll play. My touch, every now and then, it'll hit the shin. Scholes came. Go watch the highlights of that. For me, there are moments that cement a player's legacy. Seeing Scholes do that as I was, 13, 12, I could not believe my eyes. I said, no, this guy is legit. So Paul Scholes is second. Now, that third spot is where KDB is in the conversation. My heart tells me Stevie G, but because he never won it and he had chances to, there are two seasons where he should have won one of those two. That's where I say, okay, KDB, you could come in here. The other option is Roy Keane, right? Who is also just on a technical level unbelievable. And another person, again, contextually in terms of his greatness, is N'Golo Kante. And Yaya Toure. So it's those guys who are fighting for that third spot, those four guys. Because I don't think KDB's impact, and this is the weird thing, I don't think KDB's impact in Man City, and I've said this before with Tabani, he agreed with me, is greater than what Yaya Toure did at Man City. And if you look at like what Yaya Toure was up against, you need to understand the winning mentality was solely from him.
Yeah, it wasn't there.
Guys,
Yeah, really.
City were losers, guys.
Yeah,
this African uncle came and said, you need what's in the FA Cup? Stoke. No. Slapped them. Wins them the FA Cup. He then wins three Premier League titles in 5 seasons. To me, with managers like Pellegrini, great manager, Mancini, great manager, but they're not what Pep is. They don't have the same system. So when you look at the relative comparison between a KDB and a Yaya Toure, I'm not sure. But that's where I have him. That third spot between Keane, Kante, Yaya, and Stevie G, that's where KDB slots in. But the first two are cemented for me. I can never have KDB ahead of either of those two.
No, well argued. Well argued. Honestly, I don't hear what you've said. I don't know what you've said. I think the thing with KDB that it's such an unfair thing to do because ultimately he is being judged when you talk about his ability to like play deep to collect from centre backs. He's being judged because he plays in a team that doesn't ask him to do that. The player that I have ahead of KDB that I know it is biased. It is too much bias.
Don't say Santi Cazorla.
Have some respect.
Okay.
I need you to respect me.
Okay.
To respect me. Okay. I'm legit offended. I haven't thought about Cazorla this year.
Carry on,
now he's in a KDB conversation.
I want to clip this, and then I want to get the corner when Scozola when he put it on the other foot. Yeah. Say De Bruyne never did this.
Cesc Fabregas.
Yeah.
What KDB is able to do, and what Fabregas is best at.
Yeah.
KDB is a better creator than Fabregas holistically. However, if only because he can carry a ball better, and because he's ambidextrous. I think that does. I think that does give him a bit of an edge in terms of where, like, if you want to compare just what they did just as players, right?
Yeah.
But the big difference is that Fabregas was more complete. And I think the fact that Fabregas played deeper, played in the pivot, did things that KDB never had to do. And again, that's so unfair because for all we know,
He didn't
if
have to
KDB was put in a certain situation just because of what his technical abilities were, what his physical abilities were, maybe he could have been that player early on. He just didn't ever learn to play that way. And obviously, Cesc is
No,
from
to
La
be
Masia.
to
Let
be
me finish. Let me
honest.
finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
Also, obviously, Cesc is from La Masia. He has a certain way of being taught football in the first place that would always have given him an edge over KDB in that respect, in terms of how he would have developed as a player in the first place. But for me, the fact that Fabregas got to the Premier League when he was a child, still a teenager. We're talking about Garnacho. We're talking about players who do not usually start that early on in their careers in certain positions. He started after Vieira left. As in, Arsenal didn't have some other guy. No,
He
they said
replaced
it's
Vieira.
Fabregas.
He replaced Vieira. That's
He
why
said
Wenger sold Vieira.
he said Vieira, brother, it's been great. Cesc. And within a year of Fabregas as a certified starter, Arsenal were Champions League final. The only one that they've gone to, by the way.
Oh yeah, he cooked that run. I
Fabregas,
remember from I remember he
Fabregas
cooked.
carries
Yeah,
that.
he cooked.
Fabregas is
Yeah,
an
he
Arsenal's
cooked that
captain.
run.
Like what I saw Fabregas do, the roles he had to occupy. The fact that Fabregas has a season as Arsenal's top scorer in league competition, and also as our top assister. In, like what I saw from Fabregas as a midfielder holistically, what I believe Fabregas had to do, the fact that Fabregas went to Barca, played at false nine, he's a World Cup winner. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world for me to say. I've got Cesc. So Sheiks,
I want to change my answer.
I've got your two as like in my top five as well. I've got Fabregas. And I have Gerard above KDB, and it's so unfair. It's so cruel. It's such, because
Yeah,
I do think a lot of how I see KDB is hampered by the fact that he unfortunately does not play for one of the culture clubs. I think that all of us who do not support City have a bit of a bias when it comes to reviewing some of their players all time. Like if we had an all-time 11, like a D&D all-time 11, would we include that many City players? I think people would be a bit hesitant to put certain players, especially what they look like in their latter years. I think there was a point where Walker might have been the standout right
yeah.
back,
There would be
but I think
Walker
how people look at
City.
I think
wait, let me finish. And I think that's changed a little bit in the past few years
Yeah,
in
it
terms of how people
has.
look at Walker holistically. I think there has been growing sentiment around. Oh, Neville did it for 10 years. He has what 11 Premier League titles, but he's not the best right back that the Premier League's ever seen. Look, I'm getting sidetracked, but you get my point. I
Yeah,
have KDB fourth slash fish. Ooh, fish. Fifth.
fish.
Fourth slash fifth.
good choice.
But I must reiterate that I do have Fabregas ahead of KDB in any conversations.
Yeah, no, you've
I
convinced me, dude.
I
I forgot about him.
what
I think yeah,
what I
What?
saw, and granted,
fourth.
doesn't help that I'm wearing this shirt, the wool shirt, when I'm talking about him. But
How long
Yeah,
is he?
the
How
I
long?
agree.
In
Yeah.
terms of longevity at Arsenal for Fabregas, how many years are we talking? Because I'm trying to think in terms of him performing at a
2005 to
high clip.
2012. 2005 2012.
10, 11. 10, 11 was his last year. 11.
That's my
Okay,
fault.
that's
My
a
fault.
relative.
But
That's decent.
bear in
Yeah,
mind,
that's decent.
he comes back to the Premier League to win it with Chelsea twice.
Twice. Yeah, twice.
Thanks.
Yeah, dude, it's
Yeah, and then I still the only
and
my biggest. Sorry, yeah.
no,
No, I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say my biggest thing with Fabregas in terms of his assist. You know that one with Schürrle, that pass with Chelsea,
You
where
know
he,
that one.
that touch.
Delicate
That's
touch.
the one where I'm just like,
Delicate touch.
hey, bro, this guy is cold, man. Like delicate.
No, no. Again. Like, I always look for coefficients. I look for something to base these comparisons and these conversations because we're comparing what can't be compared, right? And like Khanya, you bring up Fabregas. I forgot Fabregas. Fabregas for me is third or fourth all time. Yeah, KDB is fighting fourth or fifth. I agree. There is
And it's
more
not
to
because we don't rate KDB. It's just the Premier League has had Oaks.
there's more.
It's had Oaks.
And this is when I talk about the based conversation, right? We talk about moments where you recognize the level of a player. You remember this, Kanya? I think it was against Villa. Oh, nine.
Off the bench. Yeah, you know.
Toby, I don't know if you
Injured.
remember this. I don't know if it is.
He's injured.
Cesc is injured. He's injured, right? And we're playing Villa at home, and it's 0-0, and we created 2 chances the whole game. He had like it was like an ankle problem or something like that, right? Very bad. He comes on limping. He enters. Wenger doesn't want to do this because we have a Champions League against Barca. I think it is that week, the coming week. He comes on limping. scores the free kick. Did he come on to score or did he come on played? I don't know, something like that. Comes on, scores the free kick, creates two big chances, comes off, we win the game.
No, sorry, you neglected. He scored a brace in the game.
He scored twice.
He scores twice in the game while injured, scores the free kick, and then while scoring the second goal. While he scores the second goal, he re-injures himself, has to go off. Then Diaby scores the third.
Yeah, no, like things like that, right? And then so for me again, like, and on the conversation of Cesc versus Xavi and Iniesta, look, I know they're better all time, but I always say the way Cesc carries a team, I don't think those two can carry a team. And now we have the aspect of he comes back to a juggernaut, a super team, and what happens? Chelsea are the most feared fucking team. Dude, that Cesc, another example, we've all seen it. Conte comes, it's his first season. They're playing City. They can't score. Costa, in the last 10 minutes, shouts, put on Cesc. Bring Cesc on now. Cesc comes in, one touch open, diag, chest, goal. They beat Man City. Cesc Fabregas, in terms of like, just every all round, in terms of like pound for pound, all rounder, I think he may be number one. Because you talk about a guy who had no physical gifts. Who are his parents? They gave him nothing. They did not give him strength. They did not give him speed. He can't jump. It's pure tech. Bro, it's pure tech. He had a little season, Khanya, 09, 10, 10, 11, when he had like that change of pace. Like that young.
Just a toe. Extra toe touch away.
But no, I hear you. And again, like I think it's also going to be a conversation that is going to be different. Depending on who has it. We're all people that have been watching the Prem since the 2000s, right? So for newer fans, I completely understand people watching De Bruyne and saying there's no way anyone was better than this guy. I'm
actually not mad at it.
I'm that convinced by his greatness that I say it's perfectly fine for
I think
to hold that opinion.
Just for me to add on to that, I also just think in terms of a fear factor, I didn't really have I didn't have that fear whenever I saw that I was going to play against Cesc Fabregas, for example. Not me, but my team.
Okay.
That's fair.
As opposed to
As opposed
to someone like KDB, where I'm like, oh fuck, this guy is like,
that's a great
I just know it. I just know he's gonna come and destroy my team. People, like, there was even a fucking message last time for Sway. There was a message I saw on Twitter. Someone was like, "Just give us the dagger already before you retire." There was like Man United fans tweeting or something like that. Because they're just like, he basically built up that brand that you're just like, bro, he's just gonna kill us anyway. Just get it over and done with already. Like, he's just gonna come onto the pitch. He's gonna change the whole game. I don't remember when it was. If it was last season where he had been injured for a while and he came on and he made such a big difference. I think he maybe assisted one goal or something like that. I need to find the goal and I'll clip it. But like, he basically came onto the pitch, changed the whole game.
He's done it a few times.
A few times, yeah. There was a few times, and I'm just like, he kind of had that. He had that fear factor that I don't think I've seen in a lot of players for a while. I think maybe Aguero was the other guy. I'm trying to think who else had that fear factor. Whenever I was like, fuck, they're coming on, I'm actually a bit scared right now. Yeah, I don't know. There's not many players I can think of, but De Bruyne, for me, was the guy, bro. Where I was like, "Fuck."
Fear factor is a real thing. Although you see where it takes away from De Bruyne, and also to now, I guess explain to the listeners before we move on why, and guys chime in, why I don't have him as number one or number two. Again, when you're having these conversations, you're trying to be based. You're trying to find marginal differences. I saw Man City be Centurions with De Bruyne, and then he gets injured and they have 98 points. So that told me that the difference between Man City with De Bruyne and Man City without De Bruyne is.
I don't like that argument, man. I think it's very difficult when you have a team like Man City, a coach like Pep Guardiola, who is known for rotating his squad a lot throughout the season, so that if someone like De Bruyne or someone does get injured, it's not a thing where there's going to be a massive fall off. Whereas you see Arsenal, on the other hand, if someone like Saka, Havertz is not as good, but he's decent, has gone. Look at the big drop off. There's a big drop off. Because that's sorry, yeah.
There's a difference between like not a massive fall off and a draw. Like if they still won the league, fine. The thing is, they broke a record that had been around since 1934 when they played 400 games in a season, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Wow, Pep is there screaming end of the season, hugging. Jesus scored the winning goal." Following year, De Bruyne gets injured. People are like, "Oh, City may lose the league. Liverpool, this is your season." They win it again with 2 points less. That shows me that, like, marginally, in terms of the system he was playing in, not to say he didn't contribute. He did. He definitely contributed. Yeah. It's just in terms of the extent of his greatness, I don't know how much of Man City's
Look,
success was him carrying them
Yeah, but like
versus
I don't.
being platformed really well.
It's not about.
Look,
But
Toby,
it's
I
just
think Toby, before you go, I think
yeah.
it's look. I already hate the example I have in mind. But when we talk about midfielders, the fact that you talk about KDB as being this super dangerous, you feel that he's going to score, you feel that he's going to have the impact in this super specific way. Like you're right.
Yeah,
In terms of a midfielder where I'm just like, fuck KDB.
yeah.
18-19 season. There's a game where he scores a
Yeah,
brace
yeah.
against Arsenal, and then like he just like Leno makes a save and just narrowly tips the third, the what would have been the third onto the post. And in that game, the entire thought was, dude, KDB is going to kill us. And you're right. Like in terms of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just a midfielder having that fear factor, there's no one close. But you look at what City looked like without Rodri,
different story.
a midfielder, a
Different
deeper
story.
midfielder. What that does to the entire team, the difference is quite palpable.
Yeah.
And KDB suffers, like I said before, he suffers from the fact that of all the players we compare him to, he's played in the best team. He's been platformed the best. He's had the most tools available to him to have the seasons he's had. Like the team was built around him. There were players there that suited him, that made perfect sense for him. Other players
Yeah,
that
I
like you
I
talk
get
about
what you're
Gerard.
saying, yeah.
Gerard didn't have that. He didn't.
But
Like
like, it's just I don't think it's fair to
like
put
like
to I don't because
no look, but
it comes across
he has
no because we're
privileges. He
saying
has
it's like
privileges.
yeah, but that's the thing we're
Oh,
saying it
really?
like we're making it sound like it's a detriment to him that the team was so good
No,
that the team that got put
It's not
together
a
by
but
Manchester
detriment.
City
no,
was so
it's
because you
not a
make
detriment. It's
yeah
not a
but
detriment. It's just
no
that
but you're
if we know he doesn't have a skill set.
Hold on. Toby,
Okay,
Toby,
Toby,
Toby.
you are
Toby, go ahead.
because
Toby, go ahead.
Kanye's Kanye, you're using it as a reason to make him sound worse. Or not sorry, not to sound worse, but not to make him sound as good as he actually is. You're saying that because he was platformed, so now that's why he's probably looked as much better than he actually is, etc. etc.
Let me
When I don't think that's
let
how
me
it is.
ask you this
Sorry, yeah.
question, Toby. Let me ask you this question. You find out there are two students, right? Both of them have
I hate these Zim
7 of
parables.
7. These are the
Yes.
Zoom parables. Both of these students have 7 of 7. Both of these students have 7 distinctions. One of them
Yes.
went to Red Hill, right, or Hilton or St. John's.
Yeah,
The other
yeah.
went to Cliptown, right? This one that went to
Yeah.
Cliptown didn't have electricity. He had to walk to school. He had to hunt his food when he got home.
Oh, dear.
Which do you think is more impressive? That's what Kanye is trying to do. Kanye is essentially pointing out the circumstance surrounding the greatness. I understand your point to say it's not KDB's fault.
It's not his
And
fault.
I agree. But this is when you talk about like you do the same thing when you're comparing modern day to former players. Of course, every modern day player is better than obviously. Right? Like we're roasting Ganacho. Ganacho would be in that Brazilian 1970 team, the greatest footballer, and you'd be the best, like top 4 players on that team, hands down, right? But it's
Yeah.
all about relativism and contextual analysis. So like you can't ignore KDB's circumstance. And also what happens when you're in a system like Man City is those failures are louder, right? Another thing I hold against KDB is and I've talked about this before, his performances with Belgium. Because when you're trying to ascertain how a player can impact and carry a team, you look across the board. When you see him dropping 21 and 20 in the league, and then he's not getting a goal or an assist for Belgium, and that's their golden generation, or worse, when Hazard is having to carry the whole team, like on his
Yeah.
own, you now look at De Bruyne, not to say you're bad, but now we just have to audit. We need to audit you and those performances at City to really understand how great you are. We know you're great, but
Yeah,
how
yeah,
great
yeah.
are you? I agree with
Okay, yeah.
what Kanye was saying. I really do.
Look,
Yeah, yeah.
I think at the end of the day, KDB is one of the best we've ever seen, and that's undeniable. It's just that if we say the Premier League is the best league in the world, if we say that it's filled with all of these juggernauts of teams that have been here and that showed us levels we'd never seen before. Talk about the English era of dominance, the time when we saw like English teams regularly in the UCL semifinals. The reality
Yeah.
is, KDB was in the Prem at the time when City were by far and away the most stable. Manchester United were not relevant. Arsenal were not relevant. It was Chelsea, it was Liverpool, it was City. And Chelsea once every 2 years.
And Spurs.
And Spurs. He was up against Spurs.
Yeah.
That's enough. Let's move on. KDB,
Here is yeah,
thank you
yeah.
and goodbye.
Truly,
I
truly.
will sleep peacefully knowing that you are leaving
Yeah.
Manchester City.
Fucking hell.
What a gift.
Khanya,
What a
Khanya,
gift.
rank them quickly before we go to UCL. Drogba, KDB, Rooney, who terrorized us the most. Rank them 1 to 3.
Okay. Rooney, Drogba, KDB.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. We're gonna touch on the UCL very quickly. We don't have to give too much of a deep dive into this. But UCL's coming up. Tomorrow's the big day. The Emirates hosts your other team, Kanya, Madrid at the N5. What are your predictions for that game as well as the Bayern Inter game, which is also an incredibly tantalizing game? And walk us through who you think is taking this Champions League all in all. Just like you can give your thoughts, but we're gonna not linger on this too much so we can wrap up the episode.
Okay. I believe Arsenal are winning at the Emirates. Not like trying to make it some hot take, like, oh, no. I think Arsenal winning at the Emirates. I think Madrid have shown themselves to be increasingly fragile. I'm going into this game without an ounce of love or care for Real Madrid as a football club. I am Arsenal through and through. I don't give a fuck what happens. Fuck Vinicius, fuck Mbappe, fuck Rodrigo.
Wow.
I want my team to win. Whether or not we'll actually win the tie, in all seriousness, I have my doubts. If Arsenal do not win against Madrid tomorrow night, then Arsenal are not going through. I believe it is that simple. It is about making the most of these 90 minutes. I don't think Arsenal go to the Bernabeu and say, okay, cool, we're gonna go here and win this game. I have my doubts.
In the last episode, didn't you say Arsenal were
Going through.
He's switching up, bro. Every day, switch up.
Okay, maybe. Okay, clearly I was not being clear enough. Let me make this super clear. I think Arsenal are going to win tomorrow, so I think Arsenal are going through. If I'm wrong that they do not win tomorrow, they will not go through. That's not a difficult thing, Oaks. The switch up that you just did, fuck you, Toby. In all seriousness, I'm trying to be so sincere, so measured, but you see what you bring out of me.
Can I ask you a Kanya question? Kanya, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Who's scoring for us? That's something
That's what I was going to ask,
I
actually.
Big Gabby scoring for us.
I've got a Declan Rice deflection and Martinelli. You know, Declan Rice deflection, Martinelli.
That Declan Rice deflection, I can see.
Yeah.
That's
no, Declan Rice will be beating his chest, the knee slide at the corner flag. I know, Declan. Okay. I don't know about the order, but that's what I've seen. I've heard the commentary line, just by the way, just so you have an idea of how far these delusions have gone. For as we go into the next round, I've got, and Arsenal are on their way to Paris again to slay the demons of the past. Because, we lost in Paris. And, dog, trust me, a lot's been happening here. I've been hearing voices, dog. I've been hearing voices. I've been hearing voices. Wow. Dog, my mind, dog.
Wait, so if you guys win, who you play again? Who do you play again?
I think we play PSG or Villa. Oh. Winner of PSG/Villa. But that being said, Arsenal are with the Champions League if we play Unai Emery's Aston Villa. I know that Emery has something for us again. I'd rather play PSG. My spirit doesn't have it for Emery. I don't want to meet Emery in a semi-final. I never want to face him there.
So Kanya, quickly, Bayern Inter, who's going through?
Inter. Bayern have too many injuries. I have my doubts around them being able to break down Inter over the 180 minutes.
Barca, Dortmund, who's going through?
Barca.
PSG, Villa, who's going through?
I really hope it's PSG. I don't know.
You don't know. That's also
Emery against his old club. There's too much juju. There's too much. There's too many things. Asensio on loan, on form.
There's too. Marcus Rashford. You know how he loves PSG. It's too many.
I'm not comfortable. I'm very uncomfortable
but anyways,
about the PSG Villa game. As a PSG
for anyone that loves, for the SA team that love sporting bets, just put BTTS, man. Both teams to score, PSG, Aston Villa. You can make some money there. But in terms of,
there we go. That's good advice.
But in terms of who to win, who am I going with? Real Madrid, Arsenal first. Okay.
Yeah, Arsenal, Real. Yeah.
I'm going 1-1 Emirates, and then 3-1 at the Bernabeu for Real Madrid, obviously. Okay. In terms of, I know Mbappe. He's gonna cook this. I can just see it. He's gonna cook. But now, in terms of Inter Bayern, I am going obviously Inter. Barca, Dortmund. I do think Dortmund are going to score a few goals, but somehow we know Barcelona magic. Lamine Yamal and the boys are going to pull through. So I'm saying Barcelona through. And what's the other one? Oh, Villa, PSG, same thing as Kanye. I don't really know. I can't. I don't even know. I'm hoping Villa go through, but it's just up in the air because there's too many variables. There's too many things that can go on. We know Rashford against PSG.
It's a
Same thing with
scary,
us.
scary tie.
Yeah, this.
That's gonna be. I was gonna say that Villa Park game is gonna tell me a lot about PSG because I think
Yeah.
PSG are the dark horses, and if they can survive that onslaught,
That
in Birmingham,
onslaught,
I
yeah.
think they can win this Champions League. It's gonna be hectic because we're gonna see. That's the thing about young teams. You don't know how they react to different environments.
And they got cooked by Newcastle a year ago.
They got fucking cooked, but now they have a nice seniority, a nice hierarchy that Enrique has created. So we'll see. I think first game Arsenal Madrid. I see that ending in a draw.
Yeah.
Like a 1-1 or a 2-2. At the Bernabeu, I see us scoring first and then Madrid winning in the last few minutes. I think we're going to get Real Madrid.
So you see
That's
us
the
crumbling.
standard.
I see us not
Fix your
necessarily-
mind.
not
Fix
even
your
just
mind.
crumbling as much as it is. No. You see, you don't think this way because you have never been on the. I'm happy you're experiencing this because now you're on the other side of Real Madrid's bullshit. I'm hoping Real Madrid win in the most Real Madrid way so you can sit with what I have to sit through for the past 10 years. I think Madrid are going to Madrid us to hell and back, bro. I think we're going to go to the Bernabeu discipline. And then the most tired things are going to happen. Disallowed for offside. Handball from a free kick, penalty, Mbappe, first one. Second
Yeah.
one, long ball,
Long
keeper
ball.
comes to claim it. It's a knock, the referee says no, it falls down, tapping, Rudiger running. I'm seeing one of those, and I kind of want us to experience that more than us to win. So you can just see
Your hate,
Ah.
look,
I
your
hate
hate,
it.
even for yourself,
I
your
hate
own
it.
heart. Can your heart
don't
take it?
know
Can your heart
how
take
black
it? Can
Madrid-
your own heart take it?
You know how much Madrid have made me hate in Champions League. Madrid specifically have made me hate football. Khanya, you always speak about how immoral of a team Barcelona is, and you're right. They're bastards. But because Madrid is so evil, I picked the lesser of the two evils. Barcelona fucking suck. They're also bullshit.
you know what's
But I'm not
crazy?
singing.
What's crazy to me is that you experience more direct heartbreak from Barca, but somehow you've channeled this hate towards Madrid. What's Madrid ever done to you? You know, you have never seen Madrid beat your team, like even in a preseason friendly. It's never happened to you.
The reason it's because Madrid have changed football as a whole.
It's never impacted us. Madrid has given us our captain. Madrid gave us Uzil. Madrid gave us Henry.
Who's our captain?
Odegaard is our captain right now.
Oh, okay. He came from FC Thor. I'm currently writing a dissertation on how Madrid. There's a direct correlation between PGMOL and Real Madrid. I'm currently writing that dissertation now. It starts with those guys in Spain. The moment they said, "Oh, a king can own a team," what's this? The inception of the club is fraudulent. That fraudulent
BS.
activity permeated through it. I'm telling you, UEFA, Real Madrid, Premier League, PGMOL. It's all connected. Anyways, that's me.
That's a
on
terrible
that
illustration of connectivity you just did with your hands there. What the hell are you showing us?
Oh, yo, the finger
But
touching.
I think.
Yeah,
I
that
think,
thing.
I'm gonna touch whilst I think Bayern Inter. I think Bayern completely capitulate. I think Bayern. No. I rephrase. I think Bayern get out-coached, and I think it's gonna cause a calamity with Company.
Yeah.
Not to say Company isn't a good coach. I just think Inzaghi, as Khanya, you've sang his praises for years. That is a coach's coach, right? That's a coach who not only when Neville speaks about he's playing against Barcelona and how they changed formations 4 times, and he's like, what the fuck? I think Inzaghi is going to do that to Bayern. So I think the scoreline may not be crazy, but I think Inter Milan are going to teach them a lesson as it pertains to like team cohesion and how you perform as a team. I think Barca walk through Dortmund. It's funny you say you think Dortmund is scoring. I think Barca will win that conceding 1 goal max. If any, I think we could be
You don't know about Gurasi, bro.
Jamie Bino Gittins. Jamie Bino
They have a
Gittins
solid team,
and
bro.
my boy Adeyemi. There's some pace. There's some pace in that team.
Even
Look,
Chukwemeka.
Barca will bleed. They won't lose.
Yeah, bro.
They won't lose, but they will bleed.
They will. Yeah, bro. They'll
Okay,
definitely concede.
They do have. they do have enough melanin to cook. I do think melanin is the one weakness Barcelona do have. And then the PSG Villa game, it's too spooky to call. I think we'll only
Bruh.
leave it there. I think Morgan Rogers, Rashford, Asensio, that's scary for PSG. But I've seen such growth in this PSG side that I think it's really dependent on how they themselves perform. I didn't see their game this weekend. Did they win? They did.
Who?
They're
Who?
the champions.
Yeah, they
PSG.
beat 1-0 Angers. Angers 1-0. They beat Angers. I 1-0 or 2-0. I don't know.
Sure.
They won.
Yeah,
Sure.
I,
Sure.
Anger.
I think Fabian Ruiz. I think is it Pacho or Picho? Pacho, Fabian Ruiz, Marquinhos. I don't know if is Mendes still is he fit?
I'm not sure. We'll see.
Well, I look at those three guys, four guys, as like indicators of just maturity in that team. If they perform well, I think PSG are going to be perfectly fine.
Not even
But
Vitinha.
yeah, let's see how it goes. Oh yeah, no, yeah. I think the young players. I know Vitinha is about 26 now, so I think he's a mature player. But like when I talk about those guys, when I watch PSG play, those are the guys who like bail you out of trouble. If you know what I mean? Like PSG get a bit frantic. I've seen it in their midfield, like Zaire Emery, or if it's Pereira. Like they're all like a bit young. They're youthful. They let people dictate them until they can calm down. Fabian Ruiz is never shook. Marquinhos can be shook. I don't know what version of him will come. Pacho has shown to be a very reliable black centre back, which is nice to see. And Mendes is, I think he's the best left back in the world. Like when he's serious, I think he's the best left back in the world. So I look at those four as guys who could potentially be indicators. After that, I do see Madrid beating us, unfortunately. Then I see Inter beating Madrid.
Yeah.
That's not crazy.
That's possible.
Yeah, I see Inter beating Madrid for the same reason. For the same reason, I see Inter beating Bayern. I think a well-coached team is the number one antithesis for a star-studded, individualistic team.
Yeah.
So I see Arsenal. I could be way wrong at the end of all of this. Arsenal, Madrid. I think Madrid edge it. I think Inter edge it. I think Inter Madrid go to the final. I think it's Barca Inter in the final, and I think Barcelona win the Champions League.
That'll be crazy. Hansi Flick.
He can't do it. Any closing sentiments before we get out of here? Sorry for rushing.
Closing takes. My one will probably be that Saka. Okay, Saka. I like him, Nigerian guy, but he's not doing anything over these next 2 legs. He's not doing anything over these next
I'm
2
Team
legs.
Saka. Start of
That's
episode.
my.
Go back.
No, I'm just saying.
This guy.
But anyways, yeah. Who's next?
You're just saying. Damn you. My closing takes. Moise Kean.
Oh,
listen,
my
he wasn't great at Everton. He was coached by Duncan Ferguson. He was 19 years old. Oaks, the version of him that we saw then versus the version of him that first debuted at Juve, he's had a really rough time with finding his feet again. There's all this talk about Gyökeres and whoever and all these guys. Oaks, just watch him. Just watch Moise Kean from now to the end of the season. If you hadn't been tuning in and before now, all I ask, watch the full 90s. I think that there is a player there that we're not paying enough attention to. Moise Kean, I believe. Even though you rap, I'm tired of the rapping footballers. Depay, Moise Kean, Liao. I'm in a bad place with all of this. Moise Kean, you are my last shining light. Where I'm saying, I don't care that you have passions outside the pitch. I support you. I hope you go plat. Prove them wrong. Catch Retegi between now and the end of the season. You're 6 goals behind. Get the golden boot. Show them who you are. That's all I ask.
Yeah, man.
Passionate.
I have no dog in that fight. I was just disappointed to see the level of niggatry on display. Truly, it wasn't just black people. Goosens and them were there too, but there is a talented player. I saw that him, Marcus Thuram, they're like the same archetype of striker in terms of how they perform. They're like combo.
I hate Marcus Thuram.
I also throw someone I know Toby, you also hate this guy, Kolomuani. I view them as kind of similar-esque strikers.
Where's my Sorry, never mind. Yeah.
What's the difference?
Moise Kean can actually finish. Thuram, wonderful build up and everything else.
Can't finish, bro.
The finishing, although he's inconsistent.
Take a look. Take a look at Thuram.
I saw this.
That happens a lot more than you think. And because as much as like I've slandered Lautaro before, listen, as much as Lautaro needs Thuram or a Thuram figure to be Lautaro. Thuram is really fortunate that Lautaro is as good a finisher as he is, because that guy doesn't kill teams enough. He
Oh,
doesn't.
maybe that goes under the radar. I'll look out for that.
No, look, it's frustrating because otherwise, I'd be saying get Thuram for Arsenal, but I've seen too much that says we're gonna have a
For
lot of the
art?
same
Oh wow.
frustrations that we have
Yeah.
with our boy Havertz.
I hate that guy's
He's not
running
cold
style.
enough.
Just to add
Not
on
cold
there,
enough.
I hate his running style, man. But that's another thing, bro.
Dude,
Bro, it just looks he's stuck
Okay,
in
why are you
mud. It just
cutting
looks like
Toby? Yup.
no, it just looks like he's stuck in mud, bro. It doesn't look like he's running. I just don't know how to explain
never
it.
heard that.
Bro, go watch it. Just type
Hey
in
man,
Thuram's running
And
style.
type lunch. The CIA wins. But for me, my final closing sentiments is big match Leandro Trossard.
Oh,
Please.
we're
Even
not
though I
going
don't think we're
through.
gonna win.
If this is what we're relying on, we're cooked.
Big match Leo Trossard. I think there's life. And another thing, a bit of a haywire. We win if Marino, Martinelli, and Saka are on the pitch at the same time. I will not expand further. Just remember this: Marino, Martinelli, Saka. We win if all three are on the pitch. That has been a great episode. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for making time. To the listeners, keep debating as always, and we'll catch you at the next one.
see you.